Getting a win in Warzone Duos is not an easy thing to do. There's 75 teams all battling out for that number 1 spot. So, if you want to come out on top, you've got to know the best strategies and tactics that are going to get you there. You need to be confident in everything from winning gunfights to mastering rotations and figuring out how to give yourself the advantage in every situation that you find yourself in. That is exactly why I'm making this video, to show you how we pulled off this high kill Warzone victory and how you can do the same. This video will be focusing on strategy and tactics, explaining how to rotate to the best positions, how to position yourself in order to win gunfights, as well as general tips and tricks that will give you an advantage in Warzone. You'll be able to see the tactics being used, but more importantly, know why we're using them. So, if you're looking for a guide on how to improve your Warzone Duos performance, then this is the video for you. Right from the start of the match, you need to start planning your strategy and how you're going to approach the rest of the game. Looking at the safe zone and flight path are obviously the most important factors when doing this. We're landing at this small village south of Dam. We know the area incredibly well, which means we can fight effectively here. There's a buy station nearby, which makes getting loadout drops easier, and this area offers an easy rotation to the next zone. As the majority of this safe zone is over the top of Dam, we know the match is likely to end up there, so figuring out the best way of getting there early doors is very important. Things don't always go to plan though, as I'm dropped by an enemy duo. Sometimes, especially during the hectic first few minutes of a match, you're going to get caught out. You can't control everything, and there will be times when you're outmaneuvered or outplayed. But, thanks to the gulag, this never has to be the end of your game. I'm able to win my gunfight and get right back into the action. Now, we ended up winning this match with a high number of kills between us, so I hope this demonstrates nicely that, just because you die early, does in no way mean that you can't make a comeback. I'm able to drop right back into the same position that we were in before. Normally, this would be a terrible idea, as without weapons or armour, I'm incredibly vulnerable. But, my teammate has been able to take down this duo, which gives me a safe place to land. Very quickly, we're able to gather enough cash for a loadout drop. This puts us in a much stronger position. Getting your loadout as early as possible should always be a priority, as custom weapons means you can fight enemies with guns that reflect your own unique skills, whilst perks let you further fine-tune your experience. I've gone for the reliable Growl. This gun is great at short to medium range, so I can rely on it in most situations. Having Ghost is also useful, as this will allow me to have a stealth advantage that's always handy in Warzone. Now, another approach you can take, instead of picking a gun that performs reasonably in all situations, is to use a setup that is specifically designed for a certain scenario. Carrying a specialised weapon like a shotgun or a sniper obviously has clear pros and cons, as they tend to only really excel at one kind of engagement. If you already have a weapon that you're confident in using in the majority of gunfights, like the Growl or some other ground drop weapon, then this can be an excellent tactic. I would say though, that don't pick up a specialised weapon if you're not 100% confident that one all-rounder will be enough for you. Getting caught out with poor firepower or weapons not designed to the environment that you're fighting in will not end well for you. For this match, the safe zone covered an area that's more open than the rest of the map. The large hills, cliffs and open spaces make this a perfect environment to snipe in. This is why we're now charging around the map, hunting down a most wanted target in order to earn the cash for a second loadout drop. Grabbing a helicopter also allows us to be incredibly mobile. We can cover huge distances very quickly, so we don't have to worry about the gas cloud or having to make rotations on foot. I'd always recommend getting yourselves a helicopter if at all possible, as they will just make your lives so much easier. You can see here that this helicopter allows us to aggressively push our most wanted target and pick up an easy kill. High ground is nearly always the superior position, and in this case, it means we can trap the enemies who are beneath us. The fact that this player knows we are coming doesn't make a difference. He can't run as we just shoot down onto him. He can hide, but we can just push. As a result, he's forced to push up towards us, and he was never going to win that gunfight. This is just one example of how you can manipulate positioning to your advantage. Whether you're on foot or in a vehicle, placing yourself in the strongest position for each gunfight is a very important skill in Warzone, and one that you're going to see demonstrated throughout this video. We're lucky enough that a loadout drop spawns nearby, and we can collect it without any problem thanks to the helicopter. Now, since I already have a reliable all-around weapon, I can afford to pick a specialised secondary if I want to. This is why I opt for my HDR setup. It'll allow me to make the most of the sparse landscape that this match will primarily take place in. Plus, I know that my teammate is running a Growl and MP5 setup, so he can provide the close range firepower that I can't. It's always worth communicating with each other and making sure you know the weapons each of you are using. This means you can be mentally aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses and approach the game in the best way for both of you. At this point in the game, we're both well armed and well equipped, but the one thing we are lacking is cash. Both of us are confident in our ability to consistently win gunfights, which is why we're chasing after this bounty. If you're not so confident in challenging players head on, completing recons or scavenger contracts are both great alternatives. This engagement with the bounty contract does a great job of demonstrating how to both create and push an advantage. Thanks to our helicopter, we can take the rooftop of a nearby building, giving ourselves the high ground. The fact that this team is in an easily defendable house is now irrelevant, as our position exposes them. We've got this team trapped and cornered. They can neither run away nor push out to challenge us. All it takes is both of us hurling C4s and stun grenades into the rooftop and this gunfight is over. I think it's important to recognise that while small spaces like this are easy to defend from gunfire and very tempting to shelter in, explosives and tacticals can be used to easily flush out and kill you. You simply haven't got anywhere to go, which makes you an easy target. The cash from these kills gives us the funds we need to stock up on self-revives. I would absolutely recommend getting these if you have the cash to spare, as they offer an extra level of protection for both you and your teammate. Now, we had intended to make our way towards this recon objective, so that we could place ourselves in a good position for the next ring, but we were interrupted by another enemy team. We know that players are beneath us, but getting stuck on this rooftop taking damage isn't going to get us very far. That's why we rush in to fight this team head on. Again, using stun grenades and C4s, we can break the enemy's plates without exposing ourselves. I think tactical grenades are really overlooked in Modern Warfare, mainly because they don't deal any damage. If you can stun an enemy though, they are rendered completely defenceless. They can't shoot at you effectively, nor can they get out of the way of your gunfire. They are especially powerful in confined areas, which is why we frequently use them in situations like this. They can completely change the dynamics of a gunfight and give you an advantage that enemies just can't compete with. Now that we're alone, we can complete this recon to reveal the next ring. This allows us to position ourselves as best we can. We might not know the ending zone, but we can place ourselves in a spot that allows for easy rotations. Airport is far too open and exposed to be considered safe. That's why we head north to military base. Our plan was to make our way towards the cliff line that is between military base and the airport, as this would offer us great high ground and a good view of the rest of the map. Again, planning what you're doing is a far better approach than just reacting to whatever is happening around you. We picked up a bounty, more in the hope of knowing where an enemy team was than actively chasing it, but we ended up with a team right ahead of us as our target. This was actually a very easy contract to complete though, as this enemy was stuck in the airplane hangar without any cover, so it was a simple case of shooting him in the back and moving on. A major advantage of pursuing any kind of contract repeatedly though, is that you end up with a huge amount of money to spare. We had so much that we were able to call in an advanced UAV. That's 3 regular UAVs called in at the same time, if you didn't know. This lets us see absolutely everyone on the map. We can plan exactly where we want to go and also know exactly where the enemies are that we need to worry about. Thanks to this, we can make a straight run to a building in the next zone, as we know that there aren't any players near us that could pose a threat. I also picked off this one lone sniper ahead of us. No matter where you are in Warzone, no matter what ring or how good of a player you are, standing still in an exposed position, like a rooftop, is never a smart move. All that's left for us to do then is to pick a building and wait for the next zone. Unluckily for us though, the next safe zone is about as far away as possible. The problem this leaves us with is that we have to cross completely open ground, as there's a frozen river between us and the next available cover. There's also at least one enemy team nearby that we've seen but can't get rid of. In this situation, we're at a huge disadvantage compared to anyone who's already inside the zone. The best play to make here is to come into the final zone as late as possible. Our reasoning for this is that other teams will hopefully be fighting, giving us enough time to make the dangerous crossing without taking any gunfire. There was even a player directly behind us in the same predicament, but a lucky C4 toss ended his match before he could cause a problem. This part of the game, things just got beyond hectic. You can see us racing across the riverbed, hoping against hope that nobody sees us as we have nowhere to go if we're spotted. I burned my airstrike on a nearby fight in order to give us some cover, whilst taking an extra pot shot to deter the enemy team from pushing us directly. This match is ending right on the edge of the airport landing strip. The only cover is these white bollards. You always need to approach these situations with a level head, as playing smart is a far more effective tactic than just rushing in. That's why we're holding cover, making sure we aren't flanked or pushed by any enemies. This situation also happens to perfectly suit my sniper. There's not enough cover around to completely protect everyone. Players will always be ever so slightly exposed, and I can exploit this. I can deal massive damage with my HDR, while suppressing enemies as needed with my growl. Neither of us push the enemies unnecessarily, as I can deal all the damage we need thanks to my weapons. I can break plates and down enemies all from relative safety. In this situation, the recoil from just about any other weapon is too much to hit the small angles that each team is using. That's why we're able to come out on top, by patiently wearing down the enemy's plates and dropping them from cover. Warzone is all about recognising the situation you're in and adapting to it. If you're in a confined area, using explosives or tactical grenades is a great idea. If you need to make a risky rotation, figure out how you can do it in the safest possible way. At no point in this video do we make any rush decisions or foolish choices. It's all about weighing up what gives you the greatest chance of success. Sometimes it won't work out, and you'll be killed by a player who maybe has a better position or is just more accurate. The key is to consistently figure out what will give you an edge over enemies. It's far more than winning gunfights. Rotations, position, equipment, loadouts and more can have a major impact on the outcome of your game. I hope this video has helped shed some light on what tactics work in Warzone Duos, and that you can incorporate the advice and examples given in this video into your own playstyle.